Is Disney's live action Snow White really as bad as the internet is trying to say it is? No. Welcome to Movie World Plus, a place where we talk movies. I'm Andy Signor, and I'm gonna keep it honest. Send your hate all my way, I guess. Look, is this movie great? No. Is this movie the worst movie on earth and Disney's shareholders should be ashamed of themselves? No. This movie is a very mediocre live-action Disney attempt. It's as bad as all the other Disney live-action remakes. I don't understand all the hate. What did you go in expecting to see with this movie? This movie's made for little girls. It's made for little girls, just like the original was. And let's keep it honest, the original kind of sucks too. The original is literally about a queen who is searching for the fairest of them all and finds this very vapid, boring 16-year-old girl, Snow White, who tiptoes around the forest with the animals, meets some dwarves, has some fun, eats an apple, gets kissed by a prince, and all is happy in the world. It's a pretty terrible movie if we're gonna keep it honest. So why are you so bent out of shape that Disney decided to make a live action version of it? If there was a movie in Disney's catalog that needed an update, it was Snow White. Snow White is not my favorite movie. I guess that's the unpopular opinion here. I'm defending this movie just because the original's not that good either. It has some fun songs, but even Someday My Prince Will Come, it's so boring. Does anyone really listen to that on their iPod? Come on, who has that on their playlist? People are like, they took away that song. Honestly, I liked the song they replaced it with. Princess Problems was actually a kind of a fun song. They update this film to be more of a musical, more of like a Broadway sort of feel, like a Wicked, not nearly as good for the record, but they make some choices in here that I didn't hate, but I still had massive problems that I'm going to talk about. But I just needed to rant a little bit at the top of like, why are we so mad about this? I get it. She's not fair as snow. She's not white. That was the least of this film's problems. Rachel Zegler, who I find incredibly annoying in junkets, I'm not going to lie, she said some idiotic things that made me dislike her, but as a actress in the film portraying Snow White, she does a pretty good job. She's an amazing voice. She tries her best. She does way better than Gal Gadot, who I'm noticing more and more is one of the worst actresses we have. She's horrible. She's a really bad actress. Pretty. I've always sort of liked her. I sort of never really noticed it. But in this movie, it's hard to deny she's not a very good actress. Rachel Zegler, to her credit, does a lot better. I'm not gonna hide that fact. It's true. Now, are the dwarves as bad as the bandits at the show? Yes and no, because these characters are still in the movie. I don't know why they're in the movie. They didn't need to be in the movie. They feel so forced as like extras of, we have a whole bunch of diverse extra bandits that are stopping the queen. I was not threatened by these bandits at all. They felt completely out of place. It felt like a weird diversity, but they're barely in the movie. These guys are barely in the movie. Their leader is the prince, who I did like. He's kind of like a writer, like from Tangled. What's his name? Flynn, right? He's like that. He plays like that kind of character. He's a little bit more fun and sarcastic, very Chris Pine-esque. And I actually thought it was good. Now, is their chemistry that good? No. But do they have a nice, interesting, more of a love story than Snow White does? Yes. Did they need to update that? Yes, they did. They still keep the kiss. He still goes in for a kiss. I see people criticize like, oh, he kisses her chin. Oh my God, we just literally had to find everything to argue about. He still gives her true love's kiss, which honestly feels outdated and dumb. But then when she wakes up, she kisses him back and it just feels better. I gotta keep it honest. It feels better. It doesn't feel like a weird, unnamed man coming down and making out with a woman in a casket. It's really creepy, the original one. It needed an update, and I had no problem with what they did in the update. Now, the other big issue is the dwarves. Now, the dwarves was a big issue where clearly Disney buckled to the pressure of Peter Dinklage and so many others because there was outrage on all sides. The woke complained, the people hate woke complained. Everybody complained about this movie because apparently everybody's in love with Snow White, which I don't believe for a second. People just love to argue. Now, are the dwarves ever my favorite characters? No, they were never. I like Grumpy, because that's sort of like fun. Like, yeah, he's the grumpy one. Dopey was kind of the silly one. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh my God, these look like nightmare fuel. As I watched the film, they kind of grew on me. Am I going to go buy the toys or the shirt? No. But I don't know what people expected. Like, what do you want them to look like? I really thought this one through, because in the live action, like Lion King movies, they make them look like real animals, which I think was a mistake. They should have made them look more like computerized, but you know, the cartoon emotion on these on these more live action looking animals. In this version, they clearly attempted to make these look like humanistic dwarves. Now, the alternative is what? Here you're looking at the huntsman dwarves. These are the huntsman dwarves. These are the mirror dwarves. I find this boring too. This looks like just they hired a bunch of small actors to play as dwarves. And I do think that's kind of offensive and unnecessary. And it's like they don't look like the characters at all. The Disney characters are iconic looks and adjectives that you want to match with. So this was their attempt. Now, I agree. When you look at it in the photo and you look at the trailer, it looks pretty horrifying. But as the film progresses, it is what it is. And I just don't know what else they're supposed to have done. They could have made the eyes a little bit more, I guess, but they're trying their best. People are so fast. Like, I see a lot of people calling Dopey nightmare fuel, but I find the original Dopey kind of nightmare fuel too. I don't know what else they're supposed to do in this. Clearly the ears are a big deal. If they made them have normal ears, they would have complained about that. But they give him the cute eyes. They try to give him the bashful look, and it's still, oh my God, he's so terrible. Yeah, they look a little creepy. I'm not gonna lie, but as you watch the film, it is what it is. What did would you have rather them all just been little people actors? I don't even know what the proper name is. What is the alternative? This movie had an uphill battle to begin with. And then we talk about Rachel Zegler, which I'm going to point out again. Look, I don't love her personally. I think she said completely idiotic things. She did not help this movie at all with her pushback. She needs to go to PR school and learn how to like chill a little bit when she's in these sort of big roles. At the same time, do I like Snow White that much? No. She's really boring, and she's a kid. And at the end of the day, she sings and talks to cute animals. There's a lot of cute animals in this movie. That's one of the film's saving graces, is a lot of cute CGI animals, porcupines and things that my kid, my wife and I, all of us were like, oh, like probably the best part of the movie are some of these animals. And yeah, she does a fine job. She does a fine job. The script is the bigger problem. The script of this film is pretty terrible. They're trying to update it, which I actually applaud them doing, because this movie needed an update. But however, the updates they chose to do about her father and the bandits, none of it really hits very well. They clearly couldn't figure out a way to like make the other characters interesting. And that's where this film, for me, falters. Now, Prince, what is it, Jonathan or something? I don't even remember. They gave him a name, but I've already forgotten it. But the character himself, I liked him. His song, Princess Problems, was kind of a fun part in the movie. The whole thing, when it works, it embraces the songwriters, who I actually am a fan of. They did The Greatest Showman, Benji and Justin. I love their music. And there's, Waiting on a Wish is not awful. It's not an awful song. I've hummed it a couple times. It definitely has some melodies and things. People are going to be hard on it, but it's Broadway. It's Broadway songs. You either like Broadway songs or you don't. Now, is it Wicked? No. Wicked to me was 10 times better. But my kid thought it was as good as Wicked. He's 6. He enjoyed The Dwarves. My wife enjoyed this too. They both were entertained enough. Was it their favorite film? No. Gal Gadot is really the bigger problem in this film. I kind of have just sort of ignored it. She's not a good actress. She's really a bad actress. I'm sorry, I'll say it. I'm finally going to say it. And I've seen other reels and memes coming out to sort of showcase this. She's a problem in this movie. Not only her, but the character of the evil queen, which they stay so close to in the original, which was never that good in the first place. Her whole obsession is, who is the fairest of them all? And this is the problem the original had. But because they tried to stay so close to the original, she's still talking to that mirror. Who's the fairest? Who's the fairest? Who cares? Like, what is this weird obsession with the fairest? And then she just takes control of everybody. The whole thing is dumb. The whole thing's dumb. And she's bad. She hams it up in like a little bit. She has a song. Her song, to me, her additional song was the worst part of the film. I couldn't get over how bad she was. I used to be a Gal Gadot fan. I'm losing interest. Even Wonder Woman, you go back and rewatch it, you just realize she just really doesn't have that much to her. She doesn't. I don't know. People don't care. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the whole politics of it. If you're going to argue about one of the castings here, Gal Gadot is bad casting. Rachel Zegler at least does a better job. Now, again, at the end of the day, I'm going to come back to, I'm just not that big of a fan of the original. So sue me. Some of you guys, you're really going to tell me this is your favorite Disney movie. You go back and rewatch this and you're going to watch it with your kids. It's the first one you're going to pull, because I don't buy it. I think there's a lot of fake outrage out here just because of they got to hate on woke stuff. And that's what's happening with this project. And the reality of this film is it's just a poor script. It's a very mediocre script that we've seen done a million times. If they released this film back in the day Snow White was released, this film probably would have been a lot more well received because it would have felt fresh and new. And oh my gosh, it still would have had some issues because the script's not great. But my point is we've seen this before, done better a ton of times, even in Disney remakes. All of these Disney remakes are pretty poor. I don't know how this is any better or worse than Beauty and the Beast or Little Mermaid or Cinderella. They're all pretty bad, guys. So this weird outrage towards this one in particular is strange to me. Now, again, is it a good movie? My kid liked it. My kid had no problem with it. My wife liked it. I didn't hate it at the end of the day. Would I recommend it? It's like such a middle, meh. This one's like a straight on meh. It's a meh for me because unlike the other remakes, it's like it doesn't offend me. I didn't need it. I don't care that much. And I liked Rachel Zegler. Everyone's going to hate on me and be mad that I did it, but I'm always going to keep it honest. The dwarfs eventually won me over. They were fun enough. Were they as great? No. But from a distraction level, stream on Disney Plus, I wasn't offended. I was offended that the script couldn't have been more polished. It's clear there were some reshoots and things that went on. I don't think they added the dwarves in late. Clearly they had them all along because they're a big part of this film. I will say, spoiler alert, if you didn't watch, go turn out now. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. The ending to discover that Dopey talks, to me, is far more offensive than anything about Snow White. Way more offensive. What? Why is he talking? Why is he, what? Really? You needed to make him talk? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Really bad choice. Gal Gadot, a bad choice. Overall, the screenplay was not very good. The bandits, completely unnecessary. What a joke these guys were. As soon as we saw them, we knew. And I hope they cut some of it, because if they did, good for them. They're all very bad actors. It just feels like a forced diversity play. This did. The whole thing is what are they here for? Why? It felt like because of the dwarf issue, they threw in a bandits of various minorities just to please everybody. And in doing so, they overdid the movie, where then we lost time that we could have spent elsewhere to make sure the movie and its journey for Snow White and the prince was more effective, because I got no problem making her more of a hero. Great. Yes, I support that. She doesn't have to be a 16-year-old girl wandering around a forest being stupid and eating apples and then falling asleep in a coffin and being kissed by the prince. It's a bad story. It's not even because it's I'm offended. It's just a dumb story. Make it a better story while still, honoring its legacy, which I feel like they tried to do. Look, at the end of the day, why did this film fail? It wasn't because of all the wokeism. It was because Disney caved to the woke crowd, the anti-woke crowd, rather. They buckled under the pressure. They did not have a good enough script. And then they buckled under the pressure of all the hatred online rather than standing their ground. Because look at Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid made tons of money and had just as many issues. And I found that way more offensive that they used real fish over cartoon fish. But somehow Little Mermaid made a fortune. Why? And again, talk about anti-woke with the casting choice of Ariel, but that movie made billions. Why? I mean, almost $1 billion or millions. And this movie, I don't think is gonna. Why? Because they let the bad reports and bad rumors spread too far and didn't embrace the fact that they had the musicians and music from the people who made The Greatest Showman, and embrace the musicality of Wicked, and try to really own that audience of females and Broadway, and try to really own that and run in that lane. Instead, they tried to make a 4-quadrant film that they were never going to succeed on. And instead, they lost all the markets because everyone's just hating on it. And Disney didn't do any good marketing to try to distract or change from it. And that's where Disney failed, in my opinion. Not in the casting of Rachel Zegler, not in all the stuff that anti-woke people online are complaining about. This movie needed an update. They tried their best. The dwarfs are strange. I don't know how you solve it. Tell me down below what you would have done to make those dwarfs any better. This was a hard one to make as a live action film, because the original's not that good of a material. It's just not. There's not a lot to update. It needed updating. And with so many cooks in the kitchen and anti-woke and woke people yelling at it, this movie seems that it was always destined to fail. My issue, Gal Gadot, way bigger issue. Terrible actress. It's hard to watch her now. Sorry, it is. Gorgeous, sure. Rachel Zegler, this whole thing is Rachel Zegler pretty enough for Snow White? Oh my God, is she hot enough? Dude, this character's a 16-year-old girl. It is so creepy how everybody out there is talking about how she's not hot enough. We're always about protecting the kids, but then Rachel Zegler's not hot enough to be Snow White. Like, that is the grossest argument. It is such a gross argument. She looks fine. She looks good. She sounds great. She did a fine job. I'm going to defend her in this role. Now, do I like her as a person with some of her quotes? No, I don't. I think she's a brat. But she performed okay, so I will have your back regarding this film. I guess it's an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to keep it real. So tell me what you think. Are you with me? Do you think some people are being way too obsessed politically and et cetera about this film? Or do you find it strange to see so many guys out there screaming about a movie that's for little girls? I want to know your thoughts. Or do you think I'm missing a point? I'm happy to hear those thoughts as well. Tell me down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the bell for all alerts. Smash that thumbs up as well. And let me know what you thought of Snow White. Are you going to see it? Are you going to wait till Disney Plus? Or are you going to avoid it at all costs because it's too woke? Let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks so much for watching. I got a lot more movie reviews coming your way soon, so stay tuned.